Morning, Pekka. Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Good morning, Pekka. I'm joined today by my colleagues Mikko Ville, our CTO, who's in Madeira, Portugal, and Jussi, our Chief Operating Officer, and he's in south of Spain. We are also joined by Juke, who is the man behind the scenes. He is checking the live chat you can all take part in, and also he's doing the graphics thing. So fingers crossed that everything will go as well as it did last time. So I thought that maybe we should start by a little status update, what's happening in UNITT, and go from there on. So the last 3 weeks have been a very serious beta testing with the UNITT tokenized messaging decentralized application dApp beta version, which is running on Cadena's testnet. During these weeks, we've been onboarding about 50 test users who have tried out all the different features and functionalities of the application. And most of them, and thanks for everybody who's submitted the user acceptance survey. So we've got at least 30, maybe a little bit more results from those beta testers. So originally, when we started to plan the beta, the idea was to open up for a very large group of people, but we were a little bit, let's say, unprepared that when we told that we are going to have a beta and we did a web page for it, we were suddenly flooded by huge amount of scammers from distant parts of the world. So my inbox was filled with about 7,000 beta testers, supposed beta testers, who of course were mostly fakes. So we basically started the process from beginning and invited members of the Cadena community and people we've been talking about, and in that way the beta on testnet has been quite invitational process. But I think that we've got what we were aiming to get from the beta testing part of our project, and now we have some results also. So maybe Jussi, you could talk us through the user acceptance testing we did during the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you, Pekka. And yes, indeed. So basically during this process, when we launched the beta testing, there were people obviously providing us feedback in real time as things happened, as and when they experienced, a lot of suggestions, very useful feedback as well. But then we also did a more formal, just to kind of like get basically everything on the, on the same sort of a baseline, to get like a more formal questionnaire. And what I'll just going to do is a little bit take you through a part of that sort of results, just to kind of like give you an idea of all of that. But before that, just to kind of go back to sort of remind of what the elements in the current beta version is. So this is slightly different. We will be adding more as and when we get to the MVP stage and to the live stage. But just to kind of like the main elements for what that is in the current beta version. If you want to have a more detailed presentation, if you're not one of the beta testers or the beta users, there's the previous the video, the demonstration video a couple of weeks ago that's on our YouTube channel. But basically, there's 3 elements in the UNITT app as it stands. So first of all, there's the element of being able to make connections which is sharing your profile, which is in blockchain under fully every user's control. Then there's perhaps the most important part, which is the messaging, which allows people to either send UNITT tokens with their messages or request UNITT tokens with their messages. And the idea here is not just sending crypto to friends and all that, but there is this kind of conditionality in that if you want to read my latest blog post, for instance, or like my latest newsletter or something like that, you have to pay me in order to do that. Or if I really want to have your interest, I say like, okay, if you read my advertising newsletter, I will pay you to do so. And then there is this discovery element, which is a way for the users to publish their content, make that available for free, make that available so that the readers pay the creator, or make it available in a way that where the creator pays the reader. Again, if you want to incentivize people, if you want to bring new audiences in that. So for about a month, just short of a month, people have been using this, and what the feedback that we've received so far when we asked overall experience, like what did you think about this? From excellent, good, neutral, not that good, or very bad. Thankfully, it's resounding 93% thinks it's either good or excellent, with 50% thinks it's excellent. So clearly we are onto something here. People seem to get the idea. They get what we are trying to achieve with it. They think that the technical execution is what expected. So that's fantastic news. We're really pleased about that. We're really happy that even at this sort of like a very first stage, we're kind of like, you know, hitting the mark, at least as suppose what the users say. Of course, there's the question of like, okay, people say that, yeah, this is nice. Of course, it's a nice thing and all that. So that's why, in order to sort of like get a little bit more of a objective view, we also ask people to rate us what there is this net promoter score. So those of you who work in sales or marketing and all of this product might know net promoter score. It was done. It was one of the consultancies, I think it was Bain or was it Boston Consulting or something like that, who perhaps came up with this. But it's basically a very simple statement, and I'm sure that, you know, a lot of businesses are always asking this, which is, you know, up to ad nauseum. But it's basically this question that, you know, please rate from 10 to 0 or 10 to 1 how likely you are to recommend this product or service to a friend, colleague, family, whatever. And there's some evidence to show that those that get a higher net promoter score, that tends to correlate with growth in the business, and vice versa. And the idea there is that we only count as promoters those who rate our product 10 or 9. So people who are really quite enthusiastic about that, who will go to their friends saying like, oh, you really have to use this. This is fantastic. So those are the promoters. Then you have these passives, the people who say like, oh, it's bad, but I'm not going to really kind of like go out of my way to tell about everything. Those are those who score, I think, 7 and 8. And beyond that, they are what they call detractors. So they might still give a nice score, like seems to be that they are not being that critical, but in real life, they might be somebody who gives a 6 might actually go and say to their friends that I don't think it's very good or something like that. So anyway, what our score is, it's a simple deduction between the promoters and detractors, and our net promoter score is 50, which I think is great. We are just at the start of it. There is still not utility. Obviously, this is still a testing environment. It's not a real money going through there, but you know, again, people seems to be that they're really kind of like caught onto the idea, and that's fantastic to see. We also ask people, we obviously have our own theory and our own kind of a, you know, why we're building this, but what would our users use this? And just kind of like briefly, obviously most of the people, 70% or more than 70% said that this would be a great way to consume content. One of the big things that we are driving is that allowing a premium content, the type of content that's normally behind a paywall that you would have to pay a lot of money or get an annual subscription, whatever that is. How could we all consume that on a pay-as-we-go basis? I'm only interested, reading this one article. I don't want to get a subscription to your publication on that. So that's a value that everybody seems to be seeing, or most of the people, well, nearly all of them seems to be seeing. Then there is the element of content creator. Ultimately, this is where we want to. What we want to do is create this a more equitable, more fair, more prosperous world for creators as well, where they will make the most of the money and not the platform providers. Again, 50% of the beta users seem to think that this is something that they themselves would find valuable and use this as a content creator. Also, 43% thought that, especially at this stage, a lot of the beta users are from the development community, from across Cadena and other ecosystems, but a lot of heavy on the developer side. And again, there is a potential opportunities to see how could this technology be used for payment, for other type services, and the best example of this is to use for AI services, and we have in the beta version already, we have integrated that with ChatGPT. So very simply, you can ask questions, and as you get responses, you have to pay for the responses. So that would be the way of paying, rather than getting a subscription service for the AI services. You could do it on a sort of pay as you go basis. So that's a 43%, and then a majority think that there's opportunities to pay for professional services. By that we mean things like doctors, lawyers, consultants, therapists, whatever that might be. To provide those services on a pay-as-you-go basis. Advertising as well. Again, the good thing about the beta, the UNITT environment, the UNITT ecosystem, is that we don't classify people into users, creators, consumers, advertisers. Everybody can do all of these things as they please. So again, that's an opportunity. But again, not that many people are necessarily interested of giving money away to other users, but there are some already.
So if I may offer one point to the previous, so even though that the group was not very large, we can be quite happy that it was rather diverse. So basically, we got answers on all those different use cases we have thought that this application might be useful. So that's one important takeaway, that the group was quite nicely very diverse.
Yeah, and seems to sort of resonate and on the same wavelength in terms of the opportunities that what we're doing. This is not just for messaging, not to replace other messaging apps, but this can do much more in terms of opportunities for monetization, opportunities to drive a business, and get your word or your content out there more widely. And then of course big part of this, and what of course matters to us, is that what our users would like to see more. This is now being tested, really users using it as real as they can, dealing in a sort of test net environment. So what is it that they actually find that could be useful? What is it that they want to make it better and increase the likelihood of adoption for them, and increase the utility that they would get from them. Couple of these things, like emojis, reactions to messages. I guess that there is that sort of an element of we do provide the instant messaging, so the experience have to mirror that. That's within the existing platforms, and of course in a decentralized environment that doesn't come without challenges. But I think we are in a very good way over there, and of course we understand that we do need to meet that level of expectation. So working on it, and Mikko Ville will be talking about some of these things that we're working later on. Improving search for discovery. So within the discovery, this is the way of publishing and making your content available for wider user bases. definitely things that we can do in terms of improving the search for that. There's some of the listed here as well related, such as searching content by topics, allowing ability to follow a certain contacts or individuals in there, that every time they publish something, or if there's a new content published on certain areas, that could be that find out just to something that it becomes a little bit easier to find the content. And of course, again, these are the sort of sounds really simple statements as such, but to some extent, again, when we're talking about decentralized environment, it becomes a little bit, we've come unaccustomed to a way of these platforms offering content for us, and that is run by algorithms, that is run by the data that they know that, okay, you read this content, maybe you're interested in this content as well. When we're talking about decentralized environment, we are not looking at, we cannot see who's looking at what content necessarily, or make suggestions on that. So in a decentralized environment, so in order again for us to meet the expectations, it's not that straightforward, but of course something clearly that we endeavor to do, and we continue to do, and start adding a new content discovery capabilities within our discovery as we can. When it comes to the messaging side, things like group chat, which is again something that in the current beta version, what we have is we have this broadcast, or what we call the list function, where you can actually send messages to a wide, you can send to all of your contacts, or you can choose the contacts. And this is again in mind keeping those who find most value out of the UNITT app, such as, let's say you are a content creator, let's say you are a blogger, you have your newsletter. How can you convert your followers from other platforms into UNITT? You can then send them as if you were sending one-to-one message, or like an email, newsletter, whatever that might be, but that would then be delivered through UNITT, which then means that as and when your followers open and read what you've sent them, you can get paid that way. So that's what which is there already. That's a definitely critical part of the MVP. This is how why people will start to use UNITT. But of course, group chat is again something which is expected. And again, in the future, we can perhaps add all sorts of different other kind of monetization mechanisms there as well. And then tools for creators, things like providing more information about who reads how much money you make, and all of those. It's a data that we have, or data that can be from public blockchain. It can be to some extent be able to be retrieved, but of course that needs that user interface and all that tooling and so forth. So those are the kind of the user suggestions that came from the UAT beta testing feedback. I don't know if anybody of my colleagues have anything further to sort of add to that until we move on.
Well, I could add maybe a couple of points. First of all, when we started the project, we thought a lot about the feature set we wanted to achieve. And to be honest, we set quite an ambitious plan to make it quite feature rich. And the little bit sort of unfair thing for developers in the decentralized Web3 space now is that users have gotten used to the very feature-rich applications that are already in place in the centralized world, so the platform world. If we think, for example, messaging applications, when they started way back a lot of time ago, they were quite rudimentary. For example, WhatsApp was basically like an SMS text messaging. But during all these years, they've added a layer of features after features after features, and people have gotten used to that. Okay, I need to have emojis and sophisticated reply functions and all kinds of group chat options and so on. But that user experience is very hard to replicate in a decentralized world. We took that mission to us and started to do as much as we could, taking into regard the limitation of the decentralized world. And we, had to use a lot of time to plan how, for example, how would a multiple one-to-many messaging would work in a decentralized space. So our feature set was quite ambitious, and that has taken quite a lot of time to develop. And even after this, we can see that people still accept a little bit more. So features that they have learned to use and like in the current messaging applications, they are expecting from our product too. And now that's the challenge, that we just have to do most of those things as well as we can. So this is a sort of a challenge, and we've had to make some decisions. What is the sort of minimum viable product feature set to go forward to the actual live service, and asking a lot of people to try it and join. So but in all, we have taken the results of the user acceptance testing very seriously, and we've put the most important stuff to our roadmap, and we will tackle them in a planned fashion going forward. So yes, so maybe Mikko-Ville, you could now tell us a little bit what kind of features you are working on for the next version of UNITT messaging app.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So for the next release, which is going to be available for the current beta users, we have already implemented, for example, emojis, which you mentioned, reactions, which people expect. You want to have the sort of the basic feature set of instant messaging apps, so it feels familiar. Of course, in our case, we also have, because we have, in addition to one-to-one messaging, we have one-to-many messaging. So if you have 10,000 followers and you send a message to all of them, it will arrive as a one-to-one message to each of the followers, and then they can react to your message, and you as a author can see all the reactions, so you can see how well people react or respond to your message. For example, if you want to promote your content or thank your followers or whatever. So that's a bit different from your regular one-to-one or group messaging reactions. And then we also, as was mentioned, we are working on a group chat. So essentially, we already have the broadcast feature, which is from a content author that people follow to a large number of followers, one-to-many. We will also have then many-to-many messages, for example, what you would have in some messaging applications. If you create a group and add your friends there, everybody can see everybody's message, and you can will be see everybody's reactions and so on. So that will be coming, and that's even going to be useful for us as founders. We can finally move away from other instant messaging apps to use our own product in a group chat, which will be nice. Then we are also working on currently in-app purchases, so you will be able to buy UNITT tokens directly from the app via Google Pay and Apple Pay, and that's relatively straightforward. We're building that. Related to that, we will have a transaction history, so you will be able to monitor your and the finances, so where you get tokens from, where you send tokens to, so on. So you will have an overview on sent, purchased, and received tokens, which is I suspect relatively important to people. We will and this was a requested feature. We will have a possibility to follow authors. So if you are in discovery in the application and you find content that you enjoy, you will be able to see other contents published by that author, and you will be able to follow that author, so you will get notified whenever new content is published by that author. Also, the content author will be able to contact you or all of their followers via UNITT. Having, as we are very privacy oriented company, you will see who you're following, but the content author will not be able to identify you as an individual. So they will only see that so and so many people are following you, since we don't want to reveal everybody's identity. That's one of the things we find important. Yeah, those are the things we are working on actively currently, and those are the things we will be rolling out to beta testers in the coming weeks, and those will be available in the MVP, the actual production version then. And of course, we have like plenty of stuff in the ready for pipeline already planned, just waiting to be designed and implemented. And there's some like bigger features, some smaller features, but those for sure will be coming. So there will be plenty of work for us, and a lot of features that will sort of, I think, not only we will be sort of on par with other instant messaging apps in terms of features, but we will be also launching features that will make us unique, since in terms of like what you can do with instant messaging app today.
I think we're pretty unique already. I don't think anybody else.
We're pretty unique, but there will be more to come. So,
yeah.
so yeah, of course we want to have like you said, we want to have like the sort of minimum feature set of instant messaging apps, but then after that's complete, there's like well, it's an open road, so we have plenty of stuff that we can do which others won't do. So
I guess the challenge here is to sort of we're bringing a lot of new things, the sort of things that what we're doing, you can't do this, no one else does it, there's no way for anybody to come up with a sort of like a project that where you are able to both as a consumer, as a creator, in terms of like monetize your attention, monetize your content, do that sort of thing, but then also kind of circumvent every all the platforms and all that, in terms of like consuming content or consuming advertising or not consuming advertising, all of that. But I guess it's a sort of like the balance, which is like, how do you, when you're doing a messaging kind of application, when people expect that to work in the same way as a WhatsApp or a Signal or whatever.
Yeah, so,
that sort of thing. So it's a kind of, even though that's
Yeah.
not necessarily that's not the killer app. Is the sort of, our killer app is that we are as good as WhatsApp. That's
yes, and also like as we're building on decentralized platform, it has its technical challenges, but it also has its opportunities and possibilities.
Totally. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
you can do most of the stuff you could do in centralized platforms, but there's so much more.
And you can you can, instead of like putting your content somewhere and giving it away, sort of giving away the copyright and everything, here you are the owner, so you are
Exactly.
actually participating in the platform.
And,
Yes.
and just simple like that, like, wouldn't it be nice that if I follow somebody, that I could actually see every time that somebody posts something, that I could see that, rather than something which is suggested because it carries a better advertising value or something like that. Just to sort of like, I may be crazy, but I think it would be nice to see the content that people and institutions that I follow, that I could actually see their content and not something which some algorithmic
Yeah,
process.
totally. Like, instead of seeing every fourth post being an ad, you'll just see what you want to see.
Yeah.
And you will be giving your money directly to that author or producer of the content.
Yeah. Of course, the challenge is that what do you do when you sort of like go to the app first time, because nobody, and this is what we are sort of working with all of these, is trying to work out is that when you don't yet follow anything, you can't see anything. But then you have to do the switch over at some point, that if you start up on X or Facebook or Instagram, immediately it starts to offer you stuff. The problem is that it doesn't stop you offering you stuff even when you have some people to follow. So we
and also the stuff that it offers you initially is mostly irrelevant to you. So I'm not sure which one is better, like a bunch of useless stuff or a clean slate that you can then fill with the stuff that really interests you.
Exactly.
And hopefully a lot of people will come to this app and platform through the content they will want to follow and the people they want to connect with.
And also, I think that very important part is that those one-to-one relationships, that you can bring in the sort of value transfer to your interactions with some other people. So we are not yet sure what are the features that will actually bring in people, but we have some ideas what they might be, and we are of course debating inside the team also that what is the sort of most important thing to us all. And one interesting thing is that people are very clever, that some of the current social media platforms are used in ways that the designers initially didn't intend them to be used. And there's a lot of like anecdotal evidence from history, starting from let's say mobile telephone SMS features. There were some developing countries where people realized that they could actually use the prepaid prepaid feature to come up with a sort of rudimentary banking system. So you could go into the big city and buy some prepaid time, and then put it to your family's phone in some remote village, and suddenly there was like a value being transferred. In a similar fashion, we not necessarily, so we have a pretty good idea for ourselves what could be useful, but we can't tell exactly how people are going to use it eventually. So this is the important part, and very exciting in a sense that when we finally get this product to larger, into production, it's so nice and interesting to see how people will use it. Probably in many novel ways. We don't know yet.
Yeah, no, except well, one of the things as well what we can do is that you can sell your attention. People often seem to be a lot of I find a lot of kind of like a blockchain decentralized social media has this sort of thing like no advertising, and it's like, oh, advertising is bad, and yes, it's like spam and advertising when I didn't ask for this content. I didn't ask to know about your something which is irrelevant or something like that to me and all that sort of thing, especially as someone else is kind of pushing that down to me through my in my throat, and they are making all the money. But what if it was other way around, that I would actually get paid? I would think that there would be a lot of business I would love to engage with if they would be sort of like paying me and giving me incentives to sort of like go through their content and all that sort of things. Over $600 billion is spent on digital advertising.
Yeah.
Like there's only 8 billion of us. You can do the maths. I'd like some of that money. Why can't I get some of that money?
Yeah, and who doesn't want to be notified of the new products of the like a company that they're interested in, or maybe their hobby or something like that? I certainly would be. There's plenty of companies that I would love to know about their new products and offerings and all that stuff, and especially if they give me tokens to read that. But when I go on Facebook or something else, it's just like most of the stuff just doesn't concern me at all, and it's just advertisement.
Yeah, and there's nothing in it. Nothing in it for you.
Yes.
And it's actually gotten worse. So
yeah.
Because of some privacy legislation and all this cookie setting accepting stuff, the relevancy of the feed that the algorithms are feeding sending us are not very relevant at the moment, and it's getting worse.
Have you noticed, like I bet that I've noticed here, is that YouTube is pushing a hell of a lot more ads to you now what they used to? Because now it seems that if I start a video, they will show I have to watch like 2 or 3, and then the 4th one is the one I can skip after like 5-6 seconds or something like that, and then the video started. It used to be that there was literally
the frequency on some videos. The frequency has become you can watch 5 minutes and then there will be another set of commercials.
And also you can now opt out of targeted advertisement, but it's sort of a Faustian bargain. That do I want to give my information away to like random advertisers so they can then utilize that and give me more targeted ads, or do I not want to have that and have even worse ads? Like, which one is it? There's no like good choice.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe before we wrap up, a couple of points regarding our short-term roadmap. So the development of the messaging app, of course, is continuously continuing. I don't know if you can say that, but I just did. And we are preparing the mainnet launch in sort of like 2 ways. First of all, our token launch is imminent, and also we are going to start testing on the mainnet soon. We will do a pre-sale of the UNITT token in the near future, and this is very exciting in a way. We've had some, fantastic examples already in the Cadena community, and sort of even the larger audience's renewed interest in all things crypto are helping us here. So it will be very interesting our plan is to make it possible for, of course, for people to swap Kadena-based tokens to the UNITT token, but also we are looking into different ways to make it possible to buy the UNITT token with fiat money. So this is something that we are doing right now, planning a lot and engaging with the community to get it done. And so this is what we are going to do the next few weeks going towards the spring. Now I see that we don't really have any questions this time on the chat, so I think we are almost prepared to wrap this session up. Or is there anything that you might want to add, Jussi or Mikko Ville?
I don't have anything to add. Like you said, I think it's a sort of it's great, interesting time. There's a lot of great tokens. We just had the Heron a token launch in the Kadena community this week, which has been a fantastic success, it seems. I think there's a kind of a renewed excitement coming through across the whole crypto sector. I think it would be really good to sort of be part of that momentum and that build up. It sort of it feels good, and the feedback that we're getting is great. I think it's a sort of it's a great feeling going into remainder of this month.
Yeah, also same thing, that congratulations to all the builders, Kadena builders, and thank you again to all the beta testers who have been very helpful in their feedback.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is it for this time. Thanks for everyone who tuned in. Thank you, Jussi. Thank you, Mikko Ville, and thank you, Juke, behind the scenes. And we'll be meeting you again soon. Have a nice one.
Bye-bye.